You know the term same but different? This EV, compared to its petrol variant, is same and not so different. This is the BMW i5, which is essentially the EV version of the 5 Series. From what I've been told, there is essentially no real difference between the two, except for mainly the electric motor, which means instant torque, and the reduced boot space to accommodate the car battery underneath. Having driven the 520i launch edition before, which was an all-round fantastic car, I had the same expectations, if not a little more, for this EV counterpart. And the TLDR is that I prefer the i5 if only because of its instant torque. Everything else is practically identical except for the boot space, which I will talk about later on. So with that, allow me to share with you the things about the BMW i5 that stood out to me the most, both good and not so good. I don't really have much to say about the exterior of the i5 without getting lost in details, because it's a BMW. They all generally have the same vibe and they look great. If anything, I feel that their designs are rather conservative in the sense that they do not scream luxury. But when you see it, you know that there is more to it than what it chooses to reveal. The i5 has an electric tailgate, and based on memory, the width and depth of this boot space is similar to the 520i, with one major difference. Now both boots dip downwards, with the 520i having a deeper dip, making the boot taller, which means more space. Whereas for the i5, the dip is less deep, making it shorter, meaning less space. This is all to accommodate the EV battery that resides under the car. So in other words, if you choose the i5 over the 520i, you would be trading a little bit of boot space for the instant torque. But it isn't the end of the world. The silver lining here is that despite the reduced boot space, there's still plenty of space. I mean, look at this. It's quite deep, and there's even a hidden compartment here if you need more space. The rear cabin is really spacious, and the seats are tilted at an angle, which makes it feel arguably more comfortable. Your back is pushed against this back cushion, which helps your lower back rest. And for a relatively aging man like me, this is a blessing. The bottom is very cushiony, which makes this whole experience feel like you're sitting on a cloud. But not so much luck for the center passenger though. You get the center armrest and this tunnel without a transmission. There are two separate aircon vents here, with two separate controls for each, and two USB-C ports below. It's the complete package. And you get these large speakers here to remind you that the excellent sound you're hearing is courtesy of Harman Kardon. Early on in this video, I mentioned I felt that BMW designs were rather conservative, but the same cannot be said for this front cabin. Just look at this. It feels like they're going all out to make you even more aware than you already are that you are indeed driving a premium car. The coolest of all, in my opinion, is the most obvious feature, the light strip which spans from door to door. The colors change when you select different drive modes, and you can also customize them to your liking. I also like that it's not just a light strip. It also has these triangle-looking designs which adds to the feeling of luxury. It's like looking at jewelry. Most of the material you touch here are leather, which contributes to the premium feel. But I just wish they also included cooling seats, which, to be honest, at this price point, it should be a given. Now, if you took a look at the front cabin, you would realize that there are no aircon vents because they are hidden here. They're hidden inside, which you can control with these little knobs here. If I had to make a guess, I would say they probably did this to provide a cleaner look to the overall front cabin aesthetics. But I personally prefer to be able to see the aircon vents because I don't really know which direction the air is coming from. It's really not that obvious. I can feel the cold, but I don't know where it's coming from until I start searching for it. Then, oh yes, it's here. Then I gotta use feeling to guess where it is. And most of the time, I don't hit the mark. I also wish that there were physical buttons for the aircon settings, but I guess they also did away with them for a cleaner and more tech/futuristic feel. And lastly, the sound from the Harman Kardon speakers are really good and exceptional if you turn on the enhanced sound option. The EQ is minimal, which only offers treble and bass adjustments. But it isn't a deal breaker because by default, the speakers do have a mid-range bias to them. So all you really need to do is to increase the treble and bass to balance the sound to your liking. There is also this fun feature where you can use hand gestures to adjust the volume and to mute or unmute your sound. But if you do the volume gestures too much, you might actually decrease or increase too much. So honestly, I feel that you may be better off just using this volume knob right here. Driving the 520i, it already felt like floating in the air, but driving the i5, it feels like you're on a magic carpet ride. You barely feel the road at all, and the instant torque makes speeding very effortless and tempting. So if you ever drive an i5, please drive sensibly. There are a few different drive modes, and I'm only going to focus on personal, sport, and efficient, because these three seem to be the equivalent of your typical trio, your eco, normal, and sport. There is a marginal difference between the three modes, but you will feel it when you floor it. Honestly, efficient mode is enough to get you through anywhere you want to go in Singapore. But personal mode will probably be more enjoyable because it adds a bit more power to your drive. And sport mode is everything you don't need but want anyway. I personally do not think that you would ever need sport mode on our local roads because it's just very impractical and you would just be bleeding your battery. But it is very useful for overtaking fast, and that's where this boost pedal comes in. As long as you're in any drive mode other than sport mode, clicking the boost pedal would put you in sport mode for 10 seconds, allowing you to do whatever you need to do within that time before it reverts back to your previous drive mode. Now this is a very handy feature which allows you to save battery only using sport mode when you need to. And needless to say, the boost pedal doesn't work in sport mode. I mean, it will still show you the 10-second countdown, but you're not gonna get a different experience out of it. It has your standard safety features, which includes 360 cam, which is really good, and I like that you can customize all your safety features. You can adjust the intensity for each of them, or you can completely turn them off. Simple and clean. You get a head-up display, which, like your dashboard screen, is customizable. You can choose which screen you want, which is great. But one thing that I really enjoy though, is when you put the car in efficient mode, you get this tesseract-looking object which feels like if I touch it, I could gain some mana points. Or if I'm thirsty, I could just take it and drink whatever that's inside, and it will probably taste refreshing. I'm not really sure the symbolism behind the diamond-looking shape or how it relates to being efficient, but it is certainly entertaining to look at. There is really nothing much else to talk about the drive. It's super fast and smooth, the interior feels luxurious, only missing is the cooling seats, the physical aircon buttons, and perhaps maybe even a panoramic sunroof. Other than that, it's awesome all round. Personally, if I were shopping for a BMW, practicality and functionality wouldn't be the priority on my mind. It would instead be the status of owning a BMW and the luxury and premium qualities that come with it. At the time of this video, the BMW i5 costs about $395,000, which is about $40,000 more than the 520i. Is it worth $40,000 to trade a bit of boot space for the instant torque? I would say that is for you to decide. But if you can afford it and you know exactly what you're looking for, and this car speaks to you, then I cannot find any reason why the BMW i5 wouldn't be a great choice. It's an awesome car that makes any journey on the road feel luxurious and effortless. And that's it for my impressions of the BMW i5. If you feel there are things I should have talked about or things you would like to see more of, please let me know in the comments below. And lastly, do leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you again on the next one.